Hi, good evening. Trust you're all well. It is astonishing to see that the life on this planet has had tremendous changes in the last millions of years. I'm Bhavana, and I will be taking you through the journey of how we can evolve in the VUCA world. Now, to start from the very beginning, the theory of evolution, as propounded by Sir Charles Darwin, where he propounded that the fittest of the species survive. Now, this got me very curious. The word fittest, what do you mean by fittest? Does that mean that the strongest and the biggest of species survive? Perhaps not. If that were to be the case, then we would have had T-Rex and mammoth in the audience today. Right. So the word fittest here means something totally different. What does it mean? It means this. As you can see in the slides, you can see that the various species have adapted themselves on this planet to survive. And if you see closer, they're not just surviving, they're thriving. Now, is mere existence or survival enough? Again, only until your basic needs are met, probably. But when you move beyond that, survival or existence loses its shine if it's only about living. What we've got to do is to flourish, is to live, not just being mere, breathing entities on this planet. Right from the single-celled organism to even the virus, which is just an RNA, it learns how to adapt itself to the surroundings and thrive. So why can't we humans do the same? Now, the last couple of years has been really one of the leanest or trying times for the entire humanity. This pandemic has brought the world to its knees. What happened in one part of the world spread rapidly to the rest of the humanity as we know it. And when I was thinking about this entire scenario, there was a video playing in my head, which was about, just imagine, millions of years ago, there were dinosaurs stomping around this planet. And suddenly, one of them see, oh, it's a bird, it's a plane, no, it's a meteor, and bam, they all perished. Did they adapt? Probably not, otherwise we would see them here. Now, we as humanity, thankfully, have learned the art of adjusting and adapting to the changing situations more than what we could earlier. We've evolved. Now, that adaptation we see today in probably, during the pandemic, we've seen contactless delivery, going cashless, meeting friends and family on Zoom and other social media. We've gone from working from home to learning from home. We've done a lot of things and adapted to the changing situations, which is exactly why we are still here today, right? So when we move from adapting and from mere survival to thriving, that brings us to the next point, which is about how do we evolve better, to thrive better, to flourish better. And that can happen when we have an openness to learn and grow. Evolution basically means only that. You learn, you adapt, and you grow. So, we live presently in a world which we called new normal. And a different terminology that came by a little later is VUCA. Although the word VUCA was coined sometime in 1987, it's more or less in vogue only in recent times. And what is VUCA? VUCA is all about the world being volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Now, when you see the entire planet and the universe as we see it has undergone chaos and changes for millions and billions of years. It still is. In this particular scenario, I would like to say that how do we adapt or how do we bring in this VUCA or the picture or the understanding of VUCA in today's world? We've all undergone downtimes, haven't we? How do we cope with that? Each of us have a different mechanism to cope or to recuperate or to respond to crisis. And we've all done that, we've all healed, we've all grown, right? Maybe it could be financial setbacks, it could be a relationship hiccup, it could be, well, so many other things as well, losing a person, it could be a lot of things. Now, 4 years ago, if you'd asked me, I probably wouldn't have been in this state of clarity to tell you anything, frankly. A lot of debacles later, one after the other, it actually taught me that life probably is not as we see it. It's ever changing and all too uncertain. And life does seem daunting and ruthless at times. And yet, what we've got to learn from that is that to understand or to pinpoint as to what it is trying to teach us, only when you know what it is trying to teach you, will you be able to know how you can adapt to that situation. And only when you know how to adapt will you learn and grow. That's how we evolve into a better being, right? So how do we go about evolving in this VUCA world? When the world is volatile. And what is volatile? Anything that you think that is highly effervescent or changing rapidly, and you can't even make out anything, what's happening. That's volatility. And when life throws volatility at you, you become vulnerable. And vulnerability, my dear, is not a weakness. Vulnerability is a strength. Now, when I say vulnerability is a strength, I mean looking at yourself as you are. Show up the way you are. Be vulnerable. Share a space of kindness, of openness, and of non-judgmental attitude. And that's how you become vulnerable. When life is volatile, when you don't know what to do, you become vulnerable and accept this is how it is. When you do that, you have all the more control over the situation, or more or less clarity over the situation as well, right? When you become vulnerable, you also open up to trust, and that's how relationships are built, right? Now, when life is uncertain, life is but uncertain, isn't it? Now, when life is uncertain, when you don't know what to do, where to go, how to go about things, that's when you become more understanding of the situation. Open to yourself, become more understanding of yourself. Now, when you how do you become more understanding of yourself? Is again by creating a sense of humane atmosphere amongst people. Let's be kind. That's the basic of things, right? Let's be kind, let's be compassionate, let's be giving, let's be more loving, let's be more caring. That's what life is all about, right, in the end. Now, when things are uncertain, you become more understanding. What is complex? Life is complicated and complex. Who has a very simple life? Life is actually simple, but we don't seem to see life that way, right? Now, when life becomes complex, we all have to understand that we are all connected and together we grow. Life is interconnected. We are all interconnected. The world is interconnected. In fact, we are living in a world which is way too small, thanks to the technology and the kind of lifestyles that we lead. Everything is accessible. Every corner of the world is accessible, probably even at fingertips. A lot of information that we get, which probably makes life even more complicated and complex, because we don't know what to take in, what not, what to let go of, right? So when things are complex, you become more courageous. What do I mean by being courageous? I would say put on your brave face. Face the circumstance. It's trying to teach you something, and that perhaps is going to break the pattern that you're running. Stop running away from life. Stop running away from problems. When life throws complexity at you, put your brave face up and your foot forward. Face life. Remember who you are. And it's so true, right? We probably, over a period of time, we've added layers and layers of conditioning over us, that we forget what we truly are, or what we truly need, or what makes us truly happy. And when you realize that, and become aware of it, you become your authentic self. You're stepping into a different position that you're operating from. The world needs more of you. So this reminds me of a Sanskrit shloka, which is Yad Bhavam Tad Bhavati, which is, as you think, so you become. Now, when we have the energetic potential to be whatever we want, and the abundance that the universe is providing us with, to do and to get what we need and much more. So why limit ourselves to living in a world which is fearful, which is uncertain, which is volatile, which is complex and ambiguous? VUCA or no VUCA, doesn't really matter. When you know that nothing wrong can happen and everything probably happens for a bigger reason and a brighter picture is always there. So why fear? Why bother? I believe that we grow or we evolve at the mind, body and soul level. And that's when all of them are in sync with each other. I believe that we are all here to evolve and grow into better beings and take others along the journey of growth. Namaste.